So again, I apologize for sending out the Zoom link late. I'm kind of new to this still, so I forget that I actually have to invite you to come to this thing. So thanks for getting the link, and we'll try to get through today pretty quickly for you guys. There's a couple things we have to accomplish. One is just to kind of go back over what we talked about on Thursday with Marzano and Hattie stuff. And then the big thing for the day is that you all are going to create what's called an anchor chart to further your knowledge about Marzano and Hattie. You're going to do a comparison of those two gentlemen's strategies with one another, okay? And depending upon how you want to do that, you can work in a partnership or you can do it by yourself. I'm not sure how partnerships would work, and we'll get down to that here toward the end. But I'm going to share my screen with you here. And give me a quick thumbs up if you can see what's happening on the screen. Okay. So things we're going to try to accomplish today: identifying the difference between an instructional strategy and an instructional activity. We're going to become more knowledgeable about the work of both Robert Marzano and John Hattie by comparing those guys with each other. And if you remember those readings that I directed you to on Thursday, that I asked you to kind of skim through, those will be your resources. You'll go back and use those to kind of create this anchor chart to show the similarities and differences between each of those things. Obviously, we can't do a stand-up, hand-up, pair-up here, so let me just kind of reiterate the difference between an instructional strategy and an instructional activity. Let me do that by stopping this share for just a second and going into our course website. And I'll share this now. So if you remember, one of the documents that you took a look at was this Marzano high yield strategies document. Downloading that, but I bet you I have to share that with you as well, so hang on. Nope, wrong one. Sorry. Okay, there we are. So we talk about the difference between strategy and activity. Remember, in the high yield strategies, Marzano went through and essentially took a look at research over the course of several years, looked at many people's different studies, and then tried to find within those studies different strategies that seemed to work all throughout those different studies. And so he identified 9 strategies that you can use in your classrooms that give you the best results. And on the left side of the sheet are those strategies. Activities that go along with those strategies are on the right side of the sheet. So the strategy is identifying similarities and differences, but an activity that relates to that strategy is a Venn diagram, a T-chart. If you talk about summarizing and note-taking, that's the strategy. But different ways that you do that, you take advantage of that through quick writes or graphic organizers or column notes or affinity, which I don't know what affinity is, so I won't use that example. Sometimes in my classes, we do what's called a one-word summary, or sometimes you've been with me and we've done 6-word essays. That would fit into that idea too. So an activity and a strategy are related to each other, but they're different in the way that I described. So when you plan for your own instruction, when you create lesson plans and things like that, you will often identify the strategies that you want to use, and then the lesson plan itself will make use of the activities as you move forward. Okay, so the activity is the more specialized part of the strategy itself. So we talked about Hattie and Marzano. They are super researchers. quick run through. Both of those fellows did what they called meta-analyses of research, which means they looked at all of the different analyses that had been done over the previous 15, 20 years. They took those analyses and they analyzed the analyses to kind of come up with their strategies. Each person analyzed over 500 strategies to develop a list of what works, what most effectively helps students to learn. Both researchers talked about instructional strategies and learning activities. We just talked about what the difference between those things are. So here's what my learning target is for you today. It's that you'll be able to identify similarities and differences in Marzano's work and Hattie's work. That's the strategy that I'm choosing to use. That's actually a Marzano strategy. I'm asking you to identify similarities and differences. In order to do that, my activity is I'm going to have you make an anchor chart that describes the differences. Here's what some of those anchor charts look like. I'm not expecting these. You can do this if you want to. There are other ways you might be able to do this. You can do them on just a Word document. You can do it on a PowerPoint slide. You can do this, and then when you choose to upload it so you can show it to your classmates, you can take a picture of it. I am partial to the giraffe. I like the giraffe quite a bit. So, you know, you can incorporate a giraffe into yours. Double secret extra bonus points for you. I'll show you that assignment here on our course website here in just a second. And then one other thing that I'm going to introduce you to, and it's going to be a little more difficult for us to do over the rest of this semester, but it's not impossible because of the videos and things that you're going to watch, and also theoretically through some of the instructional strategies that you get in this class. There's an ongoing assignment that you're going to do, and you're going to record examples of instructional strategies that you observe, either in the videos that you watch or in courses that you're taking. You'll record the list of those instructional strategies on the document that's found in the week 2 module. So I'll go ahead and show you where to find those things in the week 2 module now. Okay. Oops. I just published the Hattie and Marzano anchor chart, so I'll show that to you first. Okay, so for the anchor chart, it says you and a partner. You don't have to do a partner if you don't want to. When we are done with class, if you don't want to work in a partnership, you can just log out and do this yourself. If you do want to work in a partnership, then I'll randomly combine the folks that are here after we get done. You make the anchor chart, which compares Marzano's work to Hattie's work. Organize it, design it, include examples or descriptions. So as you compare the work of each of the 2 gentlemen and what they've done, bring out actual examples from what you read, from the readings that I gave you. If you wanted to do more research on the internet, if you have some of by chance, some of the books those guys did, I think that's a long shot. But include visuals or pictures to help with comprehension of the different works. And don't forget that you're looking at the similarities and differences between the 2 men and the research that they've done. So you can use those readings that I gave you. As I said, you can Google stuff that they've done. But in some way, you're going to organize a chart or a document or a PowerPoint slide to further educate your classmates this coming Thursday when you log back on. So you're going to show off what you've done to classmates on Thursday. Okay, that's with that anchor chart. Let me show you the other assignment that's going to be ongoing, and I'll have a little more information about that on Thursday as we log in. The instructional strategies log is located in week 2 module. Let me show you what the document looks like when it gets called up. Yes. And so what you'll do is you'll look at an activity that you've seen in a class, either a class that you're taking or a class that you'll observe in via video. You'll kind of write the activity down there on the left-hand side as you see. You're going to make a determination about the different strategy that the activity relates to. So for instance, in this way, students used a Venn diagram to compare the causes of the Civil War, the causes of World War I. That's a Venn diagram that fits into the instructional strategy, identifying similarities and differences. That's a Robert Marzano strategy. And then you can reflect on the effectiveness of the strategy as you saw it in action. Throughout the course of the semester, we ask you to record at least 10 strategies, okay? So theoretically, you could record what we've done today, which is the anchor chart. The anchor chart is, again, identifying similarities and differences. That's a Marzano strategy. And then when you talk about the effectiveness of the activity, you know, be kind a little bit in that way. We'll see how effective that we can be. Okay. A small amount of time that we've taken, but that's an awful lot of stuff that I've thrown out at you. I would ask that the chart be done by Thursday, and I'll send an email out too for those that weren't able to join us today to have that done by Thursday, because the goal is then that when you come back on Thursday, you're going to show that off to other people, and you're going to compare with each other what you've done to further your knowledge. Does that make sense, what we're going to use that for on Thursday? Okay. So questions about any of that? No. Okay. That's what I've got for you today. So what I would say is, if I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop the recording now. Oops, I almost broke you into breakout rooms. I want to stop the recording. And what I'll do after I stop the recording is, if you want to hang out because you want to work in a partnership, you can do that. And then I'll just use the breakout rooms to assign you. You can figure out how you're going to do your thing together, and then you could just log out. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to stop recording.